Hello, my name is Derek Adelman. I'm VP of Operations at Fanplayr, and I want to thank you first for attending this webinar. I will be presenting a quick slideshow about Fanplayr's Smart and Targeted Conversions application, the methodology behind our approach here at Fanplayr, as well as how Fanplayr works with an external. Please submit your questions via GoToMeeting, the question field, and hopefully we'll have time to get them all answered by the end of this presentation. Thank you very much. So Fanplayr's flagship application is smart and targeted. It helps our merchants analyze, segment, target, and optimize their way to more sales by increasing average order value and conversion rate of traffic while it is on your site. Smart and targeted conversions is a SaaS-based application, a software as a service-based app that plugs into your online store via an extension or some custom JavaScript. And in doing so, it captures visitor traffic as it comes to your site and then tracks that visitor traffic as it navigates the site, whether the visitor buys or does not buy. The idea behind Smart and Targeted is it uses this information, this tracking information, as a way of defining segments, traffic segments, that allow merchants to isolate certain groups of visitors and target them with offers that provide incentives to convert that pool of visitor traffic at a higher conversion rate normally than they would otherwise. So the idea is Fanplayr provides the analysis capability to understand what segments seem reasonable, what segments may work in terms of being a good setup for a targetable offer, and then it provides a segmentation rules base that enables merchants to very easily add segmentation rules that define how traffic is going to be grouped. And then we provide the ability to fly out a widget that's customizable, that provides an offer, a customizable offer that is recognizable by the cart, that is only available to the traffic segments that the merchant explicitly targets. And then we further optimize these offers by testing offers, relative to one another for conversion rate and AOV for a given cohort. So Fanplayr Smart and Targeted, in a nutshell, helps merchants to improve their conversion rates and average order values by enabling them to target that which motivates their visitors to buy with an offer specifically. So the idea is we're trying to facilitate kind of a conversation between the merchant and each visitor that takes into consideration the interest, the intent, the general purpose of a particular visitor, and tries to understand who this visitor is and then appeal to their intent or their interests with an offer. Smart and Targeted makes use of the merchant's accrued knowledge of their customers, over time. So we feel that the merchant has an in-depth knowledge of who their customers are and what their interests are, and we want them to be able to use that knowledge in such a way as to segment visitors and understand and get a sense of which users would be receptive to an offer and which ones would not be, and then to enable the merchant to target those visitors who would be receptive to such an offer with an offer that would be likely to increase their conversion rate. And Smart and Target also enables resellers e-tailers rather to better understand the data behind their visitor traffic. So to get a sense of what data is relevant and how data can be used to understand visitor intent and visitor concerns, and be able then to arrange or configure rules that target the right underlying offer in order to present the right visitor with the right offer at the right time. Our approach is basically analyze, segment, target, and optimize. So we're analyzing visitor traffic, those who convert as well as those who don't convert, to understand visitor intent as it is expressed through the behavior on site, as well as the history of the visit and the attributes of each visitor. And then we enable merchants to use that data as a basis for defining segmentation rules that reflect the intent and interests of the different visitor types. And in doing so, in creating a segment, you've defined a pool of visitors that if they qualify for that segment, they can have an offer that is assigned to that segment appear, revealing to this visitor that an offer that we think has a higher probability of attracting that particular visitor type to purchase. And finally, we optimize. We're looking and measuring the ability of specific offers within segments to actually perform and increase AOV. So we look and determine whether or not $5 versus 5% versus free shipping has the ability to increase larger AOVs and conversion rates for the sample size that fits into the segment. So we use, we're basically enabling the merchants to use their knowledge to identify segments and target those segments in such a way that differs from the traditional spray and pray methods that we see in the brick and mortars world. In brick and mortars, it makes sense to attract a large number of visitors using a very attractive offer for one or more products that where the merchant is willing to sacrifice margin for in order to get a number of visitors, increase the foot traffic to your retail store, and as they browse the retail store, the displays on the shelves will essentially sell the product for them. And the probability of conversion in this case is quite high because competitive products and competitive offerings are not immediately accessible to the foot traffic. So while the e-commerce world has very close competitors' products always available, they are one mouse click away, or one tab away, or a back click away from the competing site, and that basically enables the visitor not to have much of a stake in the visit. They haven't driven down to the store. They don't have much of a stake, so they can easily abandon cart, or they can easily choose a competing website. But the opportunity that e-commerce does give is it enables the merchant to quickly understand the nature of each visitor and then appeal to that visitor. So we think that targeted offers, as opposed to spray and pray or one size fits all, is uniquely suitable in the e-commerce world. So the key thing in making a targeted offer, making a relevant targeted offer, is an appropriate analysis of visitor traffic. So visitor tracking code that is installed on site captures the attributes of the visitor traffic, the visit itself. So where did the visit come from? What device was being used? What time of day did it occur on? What type of browser is being used? What domain did the visit come from? Did the visit come from, was it a direct visit, or did it come from organic search? Did it come from a newsletter? Did it come from a banner ad? And then once we know about the visit, then we're also tracking the behavioral history of the user during the session that is initiated on the first mouse click into your online shop. So as each visitor navigates your site, we are collecting and caching the history of that particular visit. So we know what URLs he's been to, we know how much time he's spent between URL page views, we know if he's added anything into cart, we know how much value has been added to cart, we know what time a particular item was added to cart. So all of this behavioral data can also be included in the segmentation rules. So we can do things like target the amount of time spent on site, or the number of page views, or we can target the amount of time since the visitor added X number of values to cart. So and then in addition to the attributes of the visit and the behavioral data points, we're also capturing history, so that the behavioral data points become visit history, regardless of whether or not they convert. So we know, for example, how many times this particular visitor's been to your site, regardless of whether or not they've converted previously, and we do not require authentication. We make use of what we call a browser fingerprint, which acts kind of like as a primary key. A fingerprint, a browser fingerprint, is kind of a mashup of the browser and the device and the domain, which gives us a sense of who this user is, even though we might not know specifically what his name is, or what his age is, or what his gender might be. We don't know a whole lot about his demographics, but we do know that he's a unique visitor and he's showing these unique behavioral characteristics, and that he has this history with this particular site. So that allows us to target these types of visitors without requiring them to submit any sort of authentication, which we think inhibits conversion in the first place. Fanplayr account managers work with merchants to configure campaigns using the insights that we're gathering from our tracking. So simple strategies include what the customer profile strategy. In this case, we are comparing converting visitors versus non-converting visitors. So we break down who converts based on price point, time spent on site, number of page views, and a number of other attributes. And then we look for non-converting visitors, people who don't become client, who have not become a customer, but in the same time frame, but resemble a conversion profile. So this gives us an insight into when is a good time to present an offer and at what price point. So this tells us, there are some offers that fairly low value offers that can kind of provide a reward for browsing and for X number of page views or X number of seconds spent on site, but also give them the visitors some sense of accrued value and some degree of encouragement to go ahead and add something to cart. And when they do add to cart, then the AOV lift strategy comes into play, which is, okay, they've added $25 into cart. We know that $40 is a good price point because our profile tells us that there's a significant amount of incremental revenue to trap beyond the $40 price point, so it makes sense to offer maybe a 5% discount if he goes from $25 to $40. So that's an upsell strategy. There's also a push-to-close strategy, which is if the visitor puts $250 in cart, but seems a little hesitant or reluctant to convert, has waited, say, 90 seconds before actually converting, you can throw out an offer that says, oh, convert at $200 or more and get $20 cash back right now. So that is basically a slight push, a nudge to get the visitor over the edge on a cart value that is high enough to warrant a reasonable discount. So these segmentation strategies are implemented by defining segmentation rules that include data that we've captured, and these rules include things like visitor type, new, returning, previously converted, visit count, past purchase amount, amounts of time spent on site, number of page views, page or product type. Did I click on a product category page, or did I click on the cart or the main page? Cart value, any value that's been added to cart during the visit. Any device or browser type that the visitor is using, URL string and prior URL string. So we can build up a URL history and target the current URL and any prior URLs, any combination of prior URL strings. So if he's interested in maybe a discount on footwear, I might only present him an offer if I see that he's been to the shoe page or the sock or the socks page. Visit source. Where did the visit come from? Is it organic? Is it a banner ad or an email newsletter? Search terms, time of day or day of week, geographical location, and then some composite items which include X number of visits in Y time frame. So how many times did he visit in the last 30 days, or how many times has he purchased in the last 30 days, or how much has he purchased in the last X number of days, how much has been discounted in the X number of days, and how much time has elapsed since the visitor added to cart. So these rules can combine in this screen, whereby the visitor has defined a segment name and then defines a couple of rules here, whereby we're looking at new user types, new users who are spending more than 30 seconds on site, or returning users who have spent less than 4 page views on site, and then they would get a free shipping offer. So the idea is that the rules are quite straightforward to understand, and that when they are implemented as such in this video, whereby as I'm navigating the site, the visitor will qualify for an offer, in this case, to take $5 off of a $75 purchase. He claims the offer goes into a wallet. The wallet sits for the duration of the visitor session, providing some sense of accrued value, so that you can use the contents, the visitor can use the contents of the wallet at any time during the visit session. He's also capable of accruing more than one offer. So it's not simply this offer, take it or leave it. It's this offer, and depending upon what you do on site, you can qualify for additional offers. So right now, this particular visitor is going to add a fairly high value item, which will then qualify him, because there's a certain cart value, for a $50 off if he can bump it up somehow to $1,000 or more. So now he's got 2 offers in cart, and so in this way, kind of as visitors accumulate offers, and they can accumulate up to 3 offers, they have a bit more choice during any session, and they can choose which price point they're most comfortable with. And to the extent that these offers reflect their intent, we think that there's a high probability that there will be a conversion, as is in this case. So the conversion is very easy. It's simply click on the Apply to Cart button, and the conversion has occurred. So what you're looking at is the typical end user experience with respect to offers being made in response to visitor behavior, and this sense of kind of accrued value that is aligned with the purchase intent of the visitor. So in order to kind of provide for a better understanding as to how to define segmentation rules and what types of rules are working, which ones are not, and how the site is performing, Fanplayr also comes equipped with a bunch of analytics packages, in-depth packages that include a variety of different approaches. So we enable the visitor to track trends on average order value and conversion rate, and related to the amount of traffic that a visitor, this particular site's seeing, and the amount of revenue that it's generating. So, we think in this case, you can sort of see that Fanplayr is pretty good at extracting the maximum amount of revenue from a fairly static amount of visitor traffic. And then we offer offer testing, where you can compare multiple offers for the same cohort of visitors, so that you can see which offers are performing better. There's integrated A/B testing, so at the campaign level. So just prior to receiving an offer, a visitor might fall into a control segment and not receive an offer. Therefore, we can see the effectiveness of the offer on the targeted group versus the control group, and see what, if any, impact there is on revenue, average order value, and conversion rate. And then there are, the Insights screen provides for an AOV, average order value strategy breakdown. So in this case, what we're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is a list of different pools of conversion levels. So the highlighted one shows between 150 and 199, and it also indicates that there's a $20,000 incremental revenue opportunity if we can push everyone between 150 and 199 beyond the 199 level. So this basically shows you, or is indicative of, what minimum purchase requirements are most, would generate the most amount of incremental revenue for the traffic that the site is seeing. And then on the right-hand side, we see the conversion path strategy, which allows us to kind of see the fall off, the visitor fall off as they navigate more deeply into the site. So we see that this site gets 120,000 visitors in the time frame indicated, and as they navigate the site, we can see how many users spent more than 10 seconds. Of those, how many reached a product page. Of those who reached a product page, how many added to cart. Of those who added to cart, how many converted and how many didn't convert. So all of this can highlight different opportunities to segment traffic accordingly and to target those particular moments with offers that would be relevant to that particular visitor crossing a given threshold. And ultimately, we're looking at trying to drive the net revenue per visit as an indicator to the merchant as to when would be a good time to increase spend on affiliate networks or SEM in order to drive more traffic to your site. So once you get revenue per visit up beyond a certain threshold, it makes sense then to say to yourself, okay, my conversion rate and average order value is high enough to afford to spend additional resources on driving more traffic so I can continue to increase revenue and overall growth of the business. As far as an external integration is concerned, it's a very simple integration, and if you are interested in activating an account and receiving an account key from Fanplayr, please give us a call at 855-326-7529 or send us an email at sales@fanplayr.com. You will receive a visitor tracking conversion code that is placed in an external tracking code and affiliate addendum section, which is here in the settings screen. And you basically place the tracking code that we would send you into the tracking code screen, and the order tracking code into the order affiliate addendum. So it's a very straightforward integration process. It can take between 5 and 10 minutes to complete. You do need to sign up for a Fanplayr account, but otherwise it's a pretty straightforward process, and the feedback has been pretty positive so far. Well, thank you very much for your time, and now I'm ready to take questions. So the first question is, how much traffic does Fanplayr require to be effective? And we have seen effectiveness at less than, some of our clients, depending upon average order value. If an average order value is high and traffic was low, it can be as low as 8,000. But for AOVs between $50 and $200, it's probably best to have 15,000 visitors a month or more for Fanplayr to be effective. Is there a setup fee? There's a question. No, there is no setup fee. And how is Fanplayr priced? Fanplayr is priced in alignment with merchant objectives. So we typically charge 2.5% of a Fanplayr assisted conversion. It's a month-to-month contract, and there's a $250 minimum. So it's $250 minimum fee that covers the first $10,000 in Fanplayr assisted conversions. So it's a $250 monthly minimum, but that pays for the first $250 in the first $10,000 in Fanplayr assisted conversions, and then it's 2.5% thereafter. There is no setup fee, and we acknowledge that our merchant customers are super busy because they're dealing with the detail. of running a retail online store. And so we recognize that we need to work collaboratively and be very responsive to the needs of our customers. So there's quite a bit of support, and I think we do get high marks for that. And we will also set up the initial campaigns, and in doing so, our merchants find that they kind of understand what it is that needs to be set up. Maybe they'll ask us to make a tweak, but from the second or the third tweak, most of our merchant customers feel pretty comfortable to run on their own. And generally, another question is how many months of use on a new site should Fanplayr be on board before the offering is proven to be effective? And we think the Fanplayr is pretty much effective from, if not day 1, day 2 or 3. Sometimes repeat visitors don't know what the widget means initially when it flies out, but we've seen that we've been pretty much immediately effective, and all of the, and we're also not very obtrusive. So, it's a balancing act between being overly in your face versus and annoying versus effective but inobtrusive. So we think we've hit that thing pretty well, and it usually takes 2 or 3 days of use on site for results to be visible, and you will see increased AOV conversion rate. Again, it depends on the effectiveness of the campaign, but typically we can set up a campaign depending upon your AOV that should show some results pretty quickly. Okay, well, thank you very much. I think that concludes the remainder of the questions. If there are no further questions, I will thank you very much for your attending of this webinar, and I look forward to hearing from many of you very shortly.